Hey guys, Miss Siders here with part 3 of our Ivy and Bean book. I hope you've been enjoying chapters so far. And today we're going to look at chapters 4 and 5. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start by reviewing chapter 3. If you remember, Bean is trying to get into the world record book. She thinks that maybe she can beat the number of straws that she can have in her mouth. She gets up to about 43, 44, and the record's over 250, so doesn't even really come close on that one. So then decides, okay, she's going to try for a record that's not even in the book. Going to see how quickly she can clean the plates. Well, that kind of ends in a disaster too, with broken pieces of plate all over the floor. Good readers visualize, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Good readers create mental pictures in their mind as if they can actually see what's happening. And in our story today, the author is going to give us details to help us make pictures in our mind. And I want you to listen carefully for how the author describes Bean's bedroom. See if you can visualize what it looks like. Create a picture in your mind. Later, the author is also going to describe Nancy's room. Nancy is Bean's older sister. See how your mental pictures compare. Do the rooms look similar? Do they look different? How do you visualize those looking? We also have 2 vocabulary words for today. One of those is the word cozy, giving feeling of comfort and warmth. Can also words like snug, comfortable, or homey. If you look in our picture here, these people look nice and cozy as they're enjoying their coffee. They're snuggled up together in front of the fire. So all of those words, just a feeling of warmth and comfort. Another word you're going to hear today is the word peered, to look carefully at. Some other words that mean the same thing are stare, look, or squint. If you look at our picture here, it looks like the boys are peering into the water, maybe seeing what they can find. So today, I want you to really think about those pictures in your mind. See if you can visualize what's happening with Ivy and Bean. See if you can imagine what's happening with them. And we're going to do chapters 4 and 5 today. Chapter 4, What a Scream. When Bean's older sister Nancy wanted her room painted yellow, Bean's mother said that Bean could pick out a new color for her room too. Bean picked green, not light, sweet green, deep, rich green, the color of emeralds. Everyone told her she would get tired of it, but she hadn't. Bean loved her room. It was small and cozy. Her bed was in one corner, her toy box in another, her dresser in a third, and best of all, her basket chair was in the fourth. She liked to sit in her chair and pretend that she was an ape girl living in a jungle treehouse. She had made a lot of pictures of jungle animals and stuck them on the wall. The best was the toucan. We could draw, said Ivy, looking at the pictures. We could draw dinosaurs. I don't want to draw. I want to break a world record, said Bean. Don't you? Ivy shrugged. Not really. Seems like a lot of work for nothing. I don't want spoons all over my face. But they'd be famous, said Bean. But I don't care if I'm famous for spoons on my face. If I'm going to be famous, I want to be famous for something important, like Mary Anning. Bean shook her head. Spoons would be fine with her. But spoons were taken. Bean stared at her green wall and tried to get an idea. Ivy lay down on Bean's bed and tried to imagine finding an ichthyosaur. Quiet minutes went by. Hey, said Bean. Ivy looked at her. I've got a great idea, said Bean. This was going to be easy. I'm good at screaming, and I'm good at breaking things, right? I guess so. I'll break a glass by screaming, said Bean. I'll be the youngest person ever to do it. What, you scream and throw a glass? Ivy looked confused. You already did that with a plate. No, the scream breaks the glass. This lady in the book did. She screamed so loud that a wine glass shattered. But she was old. I could probably scream louder because I'm young. I'll be a record breaker. That's a good record, Ivy. That'll be fun. She bounced a little on Bean's bed. Okay, said Bean. I'll need a wine glass. I'll go get it. She jumped up, and then she sat down again. Her dad was still sweeping up little pieces of plate. He probably wouldn't be very happy to find out that she was planning to break something else. Maybe she could find something made of glass upstairs where he wouldn't need to know about it. Not a mirror, That was bad luck. There had to be something she could use. "I've got it," she yelled. "What?" "Nancy's glass animals. I'll shatter one of them. It'll be even better than a wine glass." "Won't Nancy get mad?" Bee pictured Nancy's face and then quickly put it out of her mind. "No, she has a gazillion of them. And besides, I'll glue the animal back together when I'm done. She won't even notice." "I hope," she added silently. Ivy went on a spying mission down the hall past Nancy's room. "The coast is clear," she reported when she came back. "She's not in her room." "Okie doke," said Bean. She took a deep breath and headed for the door on a super quiet tiptoe. Nancy's room was very organized. All her books were neatly arranged by color. Her yarn for knitting was rolled into tight balls. Her friendship bracelets were lying side by side on her dresser, and her glass animals were lined up in 2 long, straight rows across the top of her bookshelf. It was like a glass animal army. Nancy had been collecting them since she was 5. She had plain china cats and dogs and turtles, the kind that you can get at the drugstore. But she also had some fancy animals too, tiny dolphins and horse and butterflies. She had a beautiful unicorn with a blue glass horn and a peacock made out of glass that shimmered like rainbows. Bean wasn't going to hurt him, but right in the middle of the army was a gloopy-looking octopus with 8 squiggly legs. That was the one Bean decided. Its legs were thin. They would probably pop right off if she gave a good scream, and they'd be easy to glue back on. Nancy would never have to know. Bean grabbed the octopus, stuffed it down her shirt just to be safe. She tiptoed back to her room. "Got it," she said, setting the octopus on her dresser. She took a few short breaths to get in the mood and looked hard at the little octopus. Its gloopy head dangled on one side. "Prepare to die," she told it, and opened her mouth. Then she paused and looked at Ivy. "You might want to cover your ears." "Okay." Ivy stuck her fingers in her ears. Bean screamed as loud and high and shattering as she could. The octopus just sat there. It didn't even crack. So Bean screamed again, louder than she had ever screamed before. But even through her scream, Bean could hear another sound. It was the sound of her father running up the stairs very, very fast. A second later, he burst through the door. What's the matter?" he shouted. His face was whitish gray. Bean stopped screaming. "Nothing," she said. "What's the matter with you?" Chapter 5. Watch your tail, Mary Anning. It was cold outside. The 2 girls swished into Bean's tiny playhouse. "How long do we have to stay out here?" asked Ivy. "I don't know. He said until dinner, but I don't think he meant it." Bean sighed. She knew he meant it. "Is your ma home?" "Not yet, I don't think." "Bummer." "He'll let us in if it starts raining, won't he?" "Yeah, but I don't think it's going to rain," said Bean, peering out the bitty window at the sky. "Mary Anning used to go out hunting for fossils in storms. She didn't mind," said Ivy. "She built her own wooden tower next to the cliff where she saw the skeleton, and she lay down on it and chipped the ichthyosaur out of the cliff even though the tower was shaking and the rain was pouring down on her." "Why didn't she just wait until it stopped raining?" asked Bean. "She was afraid that the boats would get washed away in the storm," explained Ivy. Wow. Bean pictured herself lying bravely on top of a shaking wooden tower with rain falling in her eyes. "It took her a year to get the whole body out," Ivy added. "Chip, chip, chip, a tiny bit at a time." "A year?" yelped Bean. "Didn't she get bored out of her mind?" "No," said Ivy. "It takes a lot of patience to dig up fossils." She got up and peered out the other bitty window of the playhouse. "Dinosaurs lived all over, you know." "I know. There were dinosaurs around here too. Not ichthyosaurs, but other kinds." "Maybe just little ones," said Bean. "Maybe just little ones," said Ivy. "But still dinosaurs." "I always liked those little ones with the deadly claws," said Bean. "Mary Anning found fossils right on the top of the ground, but sometimes they're buried deep in the dirt. We might have to dig for a long time before we find one." "That's okay, we're patient," said Bean. She was beginning to get it. "Where do you keep your shovels?" said Ivy. Bean loved to dig. Her shovel flashed and dirt flew through the air. Soon there was a nice wide hole next to the trampoline. Ivy knelt beside it and ran her fingers through the dirt. We have to inspect every bit of it, Ivy said. Even slivers of bone are important to paleontologists. What's that? That's us, said Ivy. The people who dig up dinosaurs are called paleontologists. Cool. Bean felt cheerful. She loved the crunch of her shovel as it went into the earth. She loved hurling the dirt behind her without looking. Whee! Hey, watch out! You got dirt in my hair, cried Ivy. We're paleontologists. We can't be afraid of a little dirt, yelled Bean. The hole was almost 2 feet deep and the dirt was getting darker and wetter. She flung a big hunk of it over her shoulder. Ouch! Something bounced off of Ivy's head and landed next to her knee. She picked it up, brushing away the mud that was stuck to it. What was it? It was about as long as her hand. It was narrow at one end and flared out at the other. It was grayish-brown. It was a bone. Bean! Ivy gasped. Look it! I got one! Bean's shovel crashed to the ground and she rushed to Ivy's side. Ivy handed her the gray-brown bone. Bean stared at it and then gave a long whistle. Watch your tail, Mary Annie, she said. Here we come. All right, that's where our chapters end for today. I hope you were able to visualize those things that were happening. Maybe you could see the two girls digging the hole beside the trampoline, throwing the dirt, finding the piece of bone. Visualizing is probably one of my favorite things to do when I read. So I look forward to doing our next chapters with you next time. And until then, I hope you have a great day.